Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about simplifying fractions, or you could also call it putting fractions in simplest terms. So, what simplest terms means is you're trying to find the smallest equivalent fraction. So, an equivalent fraction using the smallest possible numbers or terms you can for that particular fraction. So the the steps you have to do is to simplify a fraction, divide the numerator and the denominator by their greatest common factor, or we call that GCF. So we're just going to jump right in, and we have 4/12. So there are a couple, there's all kinds of different equivalent fractions to 4/12, but we want to find the simplest one, the lowest terms that we can put this fraction in without changing the value of this fraction. We don't want to change the value. So what we're going to do is we're going to go off to the side here, and we're just going to find the greatest common factor. Now there's different ways to do this, but here in fourth grade this year, we've been using T-charts. So that's what we're going to stick with right now. And we're just going to think of all the multiplication problems starting with 4 that equal 4 to find all of its factors. So of course we have 1 times 4 equals 4. We have 2 times 2 equals 4. Those are all the factors. So we got 1, 2, and 4. Now 12 is going to have a few other factors. Of course, we have 1 times 12 equals 12. 2 times 6 equals 12. 3 times 4 equals 12. And those are all the factors of 12. So now we have to find the greatest common factor. So we're going to look for any matches, any common factors that they have. So of course we have 1 and 1. We have 2 and 2. We also have 4 and 4. Okay, so that means that our GCF equals 4. So now that we found the GCF, we can finish the problem by simplifying 4/12. So I'm going to go down here and rewrite my fraction, and I'm going to use division, and I'm going to divide the numerator and the denominator by the GCF, which is 4. So I'm just going to divide each of them by 4, and that will give me my new simplified fraction. So now we just need to do some basic division facts. So 4 divided by 4 would give us 1. I'll go ahead and put my fraction bar. And 12 divided by 4 would give us 3. So 1/3 is our simplified fraction. 1/3 is equivalent to 4/12, and it is the simplest terms that we can use to describe that fraction without changing its value. It's still equal in value. Okay, so we got a couple more problems here on the next page. Okay, so number 2, we are going to simplify 6/8. So to simplify 6/8, again, I'm going to find the greatest common factor of my numerator and the denominator. So I'm going to use T-charts again. We have 6/8, and there I go. I wrote the fraction again. So we are going to do 6, and we are going to do 8. All right, so for 6, I know we have 1 times 6, and I also know we have 2 times 3. Okay, so those are all the factors that will give me 6. Okay, for 8, we have 1 times 8. We also have 2 times 4. So we're going to circle all matches that we have. There are no other matches. So the GCF, the greatest common factor, would be 2. So that tells me I must divide my numerator and my denominator by the GCF. So again, we will use division. Our GCF was 2. So now we must just divide across. 6 divided by 2 will give us 3. 8 divided by 2 will give us 4. So 3/4. 3/4 is an equivalent fraction to 6/8, and 3/4 is the simplest form of 6/8. They are equivalent fractions. All right, we are going to do one more example. And we will do 8/16. Again, we must find the greatest common factor of our numerator, which is 8, and our denominator, which is 16. So we already factored 8 a moment ago. We can show that again. So again, the factors of 8 were 1 times 8, 2 times 4. So 1, 2, 4, and 8 are our factors. 16, we have 1 times 16. We have 2 times 8. And we have 4 times 4. All of those, so 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16. I don't have to count 4 twice because we just have to include it once if we were naming all the factors. Okay, so now again, we just need to find all the common factors. So any matches that they have would be considered common factors. And then just simply choose the biggest one. All right, so we can see that the greatest common factor would be, oh, and actually, no, I skipped it. It would be 8 and 8. I was about to say 4. Now, I'm actually glad I almost made that mistake because I can show you something. So, because a common question is, what's going to happen if we don't divide by the GCF? What if we divide by another factor that they have in common? Well, we'll do that first, and then I'll show you why if we just divide by the GCF, it saves us some time. So what if I did make my mistake? What if I did overlook the 8 and I went with the 4? Well, I can do that. Okay, I could do 8 divided by 4 and get 2, and I could do 16 divided by 4 and get 4. However, 2 and 4 are each divisible by 2. I can divide 2 by 2. I can divide 4 by 2. So I could divide each of them by 2 and get 1/2. Okay, so I can still simplify, but look, I had to divide an extra time. So if I divide by the true GCF, which was 8, that means I will only have to divide one time. Because if I do 8 divided by 8, I get 1. I do 16 divided by 8, I get 2. So I still got the answer of 1/2 each time. However, if I divide by the GCF, I only have to divide once. Okay, so again, this is putting fractions in simplest terms, or we can also just call it simplifying fractions. We must find the greatest common factor of the numerator and the denominator, and then divide them both by that greatest common factor.